Okay, so this is episode 2. It's a thing now. This is a proper thing. We're like a serial podcast. Yeah, more than one. We're a thing.
We're a thing.
And this episode is all about awards.
Awards, yeah. Just because we arbitrarily chose that.
Yeah, no, because there was a big award ceremony, possibly the biggest.
The biggest in architecture, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's not as big as the Oscars, is it?
Well, in the architecture world, sure. Name me one winner of the awards at the Oscars.
The real winner was the Me Too movement, wasn't it? That's Harvey Weinstein lost the awards.
You leave Harvey Keitel out of this, okay?
Yeah, he's clean. As far as I know.
Technically, we've just proven to us that the Sterling Prize is more important than the Oscars. Okay, I like to put you on the spot at the beginning of these podcasts.
Yeah,
Bill.
okay. Right.
So
you just did. I thought that was it. Me not knowing an Oscar.
From now on, no other words other than yes or no. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Okay, I'm going to do my best Oprah Winfrey impression here. Okay.
Yes.
So Bill, do you think the awards are an important part of the industry? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Do you dream one day of winning the Sterling Prize? Be honest, because I know the answer.
Easy. Yes.
Have you ever worked on a project that has been nominated for the Carbuncle Cup?
Yes.
Buzzing. Have you ever won an award?
Personally?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think we all have in the room, haven't we? But that wasn't the point of this show. It wasn't just... Okay, right. Do you ever moan about the weight of the camera equipment and tripod on the way to this podcast every week?
Yes.
All right, good. I think we've nailed it. Okay, so we're going to start with the Sterling Prize, but also we've touched on the Carbuncle Cup. Mm-hmm. The two ends of the extremes that we're aiming for.
I don't think no. They're part of a spectrum of awards, aren't there? I mean, who makes the awards? That's what's always quite weird. You know, the RIBA or magazines or special interest groups. That's the kind of key thing. But something like the Carbuncle Cup, for example, it was started by a magazine, but it's seeped into kind of the wider cultural landscape, hasn't it? So the FT starts picking it up, and it's a kind of quick win. It's easy to report about the stuff that's bad, not stuff that's really good.
It's proper clickbait, the Carbuncle Cup, isn't it? Because it is great. Yeah. I mean, it is great to read some of them.
Do you know what? I don't think so. Not just because I may or may not have worked on a building once that was shortlisted for the Carbuncle Cup, but it's... You know, it's that whole thing of kind of it's easy to sneer and it's quite lazy. And the publication that runs it, you know, some would say was in decline and this was the thing that kind of propped it up. But with something like the RBA, it's about heralding what's best and promoting excellence, and Sterling Prize does that. And I think it's such a positive thing. And actually, although it's easy to take the mickey out of magazines that do awards, you know, the AHA does a great job promoting architecture and getting young practices to apply and submit projects for awards. And it's incredibly motivating. You know, you're a two-man band and you win the Small Projects Award or a regional award. It's bloody brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I think for people who are not listening, who don't fully know all of the architectural terminology we're using, the Sterling Prize it's an RIBA prize, and the RIBA is the Architecture Association. They are. How would you describe the RIBA?
They're there to promote excellence in architecture, and you don't have to be a member. And then there's the ARB, who you have to be a member of to practice as an architect, and they're there to sort of... Is that a motorbike?
That is a motorbike.
And they're there to protect the reputation of the profession. So if you do something terrible as an architect, the ARB will strike you off. But if you do something brilliant, the RIBA will reward you.
Which I think is great. And I think I went through like a big research of like all of the different types of awards. And there's so many. And I do think the RIBA has the choicest awards. And then the ones... The more niche ones are more kind of
stone cladding in Wolverhampton in the last.
The Steel Awards, which are quite interesting, but they're always sponsored by a big company. Whereas the RIBA is, I mean, it is, but it's one of the few that I don't know. Is it like non-biased? I mean, I went on the winner of the Sterling Prize, the Bloomberg Building, which we'll come on to later. And that got a serious amount of criticism for the fact that no one felt it was very unbiased. It was...
What, people don't feel that the judging process is unbiased?
No, they felt that it was such an obvious winner that there was...
But now, like, being like... I don't know, Usain Bolt's an obvious winner. It doesn't discredit how amazing he is.
No, but when you get to choose who the shortlist are, I don't know how they choose the shortlist, but when you've got 5 fantastic projects, but you look at the Bloomberg project in comparison, and they're almost, I mean, we'll come on to this in a bit, but they're almost incomparable in the scale of them. You know, like one is the absolute pinnacle of what a limitless budget would buy. And in terms of just ideas, and then you see these beautiful smaller projects.
Yeah, but I don't know. You mentioned the Oscars, and I always think that is a good one. The massive budget one, huge budget one with all the famous people in. It rarely gets the kind of plaudits. It's often a kind of side-blinded by some art house thing with some gritty portrayal that someone's done, and then people try and invert that and deliberately take on roles of hardship, and then it doesn't. I don't think it's that easy to predict. Let's talk about the Sterling, because I think it's a really important prize, and it does oscillate between big budget ones and small budget environmental ones. So I think it's less predictable. And I guess some people who listen to this will know what the Bloomberg building is, which is Bloomberg, the news and finance organization. And this is a headquarters built for them, designed by Norman Foster. And it is incredible. It is incredible. I mean, the care and the beauty and the tech and the effort that has gone into it. It is a world-class building, undoubtedly. And I'd say the criticism that it's come in
Did you hear what Ollie Wainwright said about it?
I can guess. But just to finish, it's built itself on its sustainability credentials, and that's the thing that people have kind of attacked, because it's got these huge chunks of sandstone that are carved out of it. But it's fantastic. I mean, it's a fantastic building, and it's done some things like completely change the way you use office buildings. It's got this amazing pantry, as they call it, at the top, and everyone has to go to the top of the building, and they kind of percolate down to their workspace, meaning you bump into your colleagues more, you meet people in different departments. It's great for your collaboration. And then it's ballsy to actually do that. We talk about stuff like that at work all the time, but to actually, for Michael Bloomberg to spend £1 billion making it a reality, deserves
I totally agree. I mean, if you go down there and you have a look at it, I think we've worked on big buildings, nothing quite as big as that, but in terms of, you look at it in terms of the ideas and the thought that's gone into just the smallest little bits, having worked on a project like half as complicated, you think how, like, the amount of effort that went into completing something that complicated. And people bemoan the stone is from X, Y, and Z of a quarry, but do they know how hard it is to get it looking that detailed? I mean, it's absolutely spectacular.
And the fins on the outside are carved so that they're acting as kind of gills for the building to help distribute the light fittings. Have this same kind of triangular kind of curved motif, and they help to distribute air, and I mean, everything is a product in there.
A classic little detail, right? You can never use timber floorings in an office, because at some point you need to pull the flooring up to get access to the services, so it's impossible to do that with timber floor without ruining it. They've got magnetized bits of timber that slot into each other, so you can unmagnet. So every piece of wood is magnetized to the floor, and you're like, I've been through a pretty brutal VE process, a value engineering process, where they basically take the design and make it cheaper or more efficient, whatever. And I'm so in awe that they've got all of these decisions through that process. Yeah. I mean, that is, I think I'm so excited that something that big and that ambitious got built, because we don't really have these kind of mega office buildings like that are like designed to that detail, because they're glass towers and they're a different typology, whereas these kind of
I know what you mean. There's been a shift in emphasis from can we do that to what can you do with what you've got. So engineering now isn't the biggest, the tallest, the fastest, the quickest. It's how can you use the same or less resource to do something better. It's that sort of kind of efficiency that's exciting now. So it's quite sort of out of step with the current environment to reward like Bloomberg with the win. But I think it's good for them. They have loads of people on it. It's beautiful. and it's an artwork. I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And
Have you seen it? Have you seen it, Ben?
I haven't seen it in person. I've seen pictures of it though. Yeah, I've seen it in the
What did you
RIBA
think?
magazine. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, I think if you go down there, I just think the scale of it. And you know, I don't know if you agree, but you go around, you look at these old stone buildings and think, wow, they just don't make buildings like that anymore. They're just this, how did they ever do that? And then you look at this and you're like, you can see where the money was spent. It's the most expensive facade ever built in London, basically.
For now.
Yeah, ever. But I do think on that scale. So we were talking earlier about also the other type of awards that I'm fascinated by, the student awards, and I remember that being so important to me as a student. And so for people that don't know, the RIBA Bronze Award is for Part 1 students, and then when you do your Part 2 after a year out in history, that's RIBA Silver Award. And then
Is that what you got?
I was pretty close. I saw one, but I remember, like, to me, that the ideas involved in the RIBA, especially the RIBA Silver Award, are absolutely mind blowing. I still see them now, and I think I don't even know how they did that. Like, I don't even know where a render to sketch and I'm like, there must be something wrong with their brains to be able to think of something that's spectacular.
How do they find the time? Do that.
But I do think, do they have a similar thing in graphics? Like an awards thing?
There is a similar thing. There's DNAD, Design and Art Directors, which is a similar thing. So there's industry and then there's student awards as well. So I entered DNAD, but I didn't win anything. Unfortunately, let's not mention that.
But you entered. And my tutors didn't encourage me to enter. You've left me hanging here. What did Ollie Wainwright say about...
Ollie Wainwright said it looked like a Debenhams store.
Wow.
He's really...
Did he go inside it?
Did
he just walk by it?
I don't think he needed to. I think he saw it and he thought, I could buy a really nice jumper from there.
He's got a view.
He's got a view.
He's got a view. Yeah.
We should get him on this. That would be hilarious.
He was voted the most eligible man on a certain dating app.
Grindr.
I think it was Tinder.
Yeah, it was one of those online.
One of those, or Happen, or something like that. Very attractive.
Okay, so we've got the Sterling Prize as a champion for fantastic buildings. Yeah. What about the Carbuncle Cup? You don't think it's good?
Well, I kind of touched on it last week. I think it's easy to take the piss out of stuff and say that's really bad. And for example, this year's Carbuncle Cup, it's going to be, or the sort of favourite, as you should say, is this building in Islington made out of these pieces of stone that just look so kind of raw, these obelisks that have come out of a quarry and been stacked on top of each other like kind of these clumsy blocks. And it's like arresting. It's like nothing you've seen elsewhere. And is it ugly? Well, no, it's natural materials and you can see claw marks. And it's ugly like your child's clay ashtray that they've made for you that's incredibly beautiful in some ways. And I think it's amazing. And I just think this thing of sitting online and saying, oh, that's not very good and that's that. And this is the worst. And here's a Bowl-O-Rama in, Chislehurst that's rubbish. Come on, is there nothing better to do? I think... It's a shame it seems to get more kind of comment and profile than things that are good. But I can see why. I know. It's the whole sort of look what this celebrity looks like now kind of stream. This sort of appeal to people's lowest common denominator.
Yeah. I mean, we both worked on a project that didn't get the best comments on a national architecture website. I
don't think they're that bad, but yeah.
But that one was particularly amusing, just because why do they write that? Like, what's the? I mean, I get it. It's easy to do a snap decision, but I think as architects, you see so many decisions and effort, and you're like, it could happen to any of us. It's just.
I find it's funny. I mean, we used to snapshot the comments that people would write under buildings of ours that were on kind of published on design websites. And
that wasn't Carbuncle Cup, I should say. It was just in the press, and people were less than stellar to us.
But when do people write? Do people write positive comments under things? I don't think they do. You're the kind of guy that might write comments under a video.
I have only on our own video.
And please, and if you're watching this, please comment underneath. I didn't mean to dissuade
Anonymous
you.
7 says, really great YouTube video.
Pizza lover, get involved.
Okay, but I do love the Rainbow Building. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Is that enough? Can I say any more love it?
No,
anymore?
I think we love it. And that's Norman Foster's second win. So the Gherkin, the 30 St Mary's Axe, won, and it was not expected to. It was like an outlier, and then it won last minute, and weirdly was that part of it becoming one of the nation's most loved buildings? Probably not, but it must have helped, because then everyone says, oh, it's this award-winning thing.
I mean, the Gherkin's a great example of just something we don't have that often now, which is purely iconic architecture. Like London,
You said it, the I word.
I said bung bung bung, but it's a jewel. It's a piece of art in the skyline. Whereas I know the move now has been much more towards serious commercial buildings. It's not about. For example, you look back at. This is going on a tangent about skyscrapers now, but you look at 22 Bishopsgate, you look at One Undershaft. They're very subtle. I mean, other than 22 Bishopsgate, it's an extruded version of the sign. It is what it is. Whereas
Love One Undershaft. I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely great.
We know you do, and we'll come on to that in a bit, Bill. And but you look at the spire that went before it, and it was absolutely
The Helter
chaotic.
Skelter.
Yeah, absolutely mental.
Yeah.
And you look at all the older buildings, and I think what's the residential tower just south of the river? It's like the last kind of, it curves out and curves back in.
The Ian Simpson one. One Blackfriars.
Yeah. That's like the last kind of iconic. It's a shape that you could draw on a piece of paper.
For now.
It'll come back.
I think we're trying to make the same resources stretch. We've been in a 10-year global recession. It's a miracle that we're doing anything at all. The perfume bottle architecture, I think, is on a sort of that is out of favor. But like postmodernism, suddenly, it was awful when we were growing up. The idea of these kind of jaunty purple triangles. Now, I kind of get why they're being listed.
Purple triangles. Yeah.
I didn't think. I said it. Anyway.
So, I know you wanted me to talk about this, but the awards that you've won, Bill, do you want to go through them? Have you been? I'm quite happy to talk about. Okay, I'll go first. I didn't get nominated for a technical award, but my work got put in Blueprint magazine, and it was the highlight of my entire university. It was
fantastic,
and I was so excited. So that was like, that was to me the pinnacle of my architecture profession. It was so good. It was like taken as part of it was this kind of this gritty, like urban, like skate, like what do you call it, like a post-apocalyptic style, like concept art, and mine was one of the ones of like 20 chosen. It was so cool.
That is fantastic.
And I lost the magazine. My mum bought it for me, and I've lost it. I can't find it again.
What?
Ooh.
Did it happen? Did it definitely happen?
It did definitely happen.
No, because mums buy dozens of copies when you're in the newspaper. When one is in the newspaper, isn't it?
For crimes or for architecture.
Yeah, whichever side.
But I did remember thinking, because one of the things we were writing about, like, are awards, should you chase awards? But they are, what's better than winning an award?
I'd say, I know what you mean. I won a kind of technology award at university, and I had some work published in a magazine, and it was great. But I wasn't then a very technological architect. And so when you get these CVs and they list these awards they've won in university, you do think, oh. But it really matters. It totally matters. The fact that you care enough to do it, the fact you're not shy about showing off your portfolio, the fact, I had a tutor and he said, bring in the drawing you're most proud of. And that's like crushing. So you're thinking, which one of these is the best? You're then going to say which is the best. And I think it's something that English are really bad at, saying, I'm good at this and I'm going to be, that's why I should be on the team, or that's why I should come and work for you. We're quite good at sort of self-effacement, and I think, people that enter awards, good on you.
The thing
why
is,
not me? I think that thing of why not me? Yeah, why not? I think it's cool. Get involved.
It's actually quite interesting how award, like for example, at uni, if you wanted to win one of the RIBA silver or bronze, you had to be kind of nominated by your uni, or your tutor had to put you forward. So the actual gatekeepers for the award were actually your tutors at the uni. Whereas actually in industry, the gatekeepers are you paying for your own entry fee for an award, aren't they? I mean, that is kind of the background of it. That
it does.
It's not quite as bad as I've just made out, but it's you do have to kind of.
But the more sort of tables you buy at charity dinners, the higher you go up, the kind of awards thing. Yeah, but you know, that's the game, isn't it?
That is the game. Yeah, I wrote down part of a. I sounded bad. Part of a media strategy, a marketing strategy, because
for yourself,
for an award for an architecture practice. So you have to think of it as part of a larger investment in getting out there. And I think. I don't know what you were like, but I used to hate showing off my work. I didn't mind doing presentations when asked for it, but I wouldn't be like, hey guys, I've done a party, you can all come here. What's that? Oh, it's just my uni work. I remember seeing an architect do that, like a student, and I was like, you can't do that, can you?
What, he invited everyone around for
it wasn't like a presentation. He was just like, oh, I finished my year. Come on, I got to have it all pinned up so I can just show all my friends who I haven't seen for ages. And I was like...
He was obviously much better than us, though.
Yeah, but like he was so confident. I was like, I didn't know you could just... Can you? And I think this part of me, if I ran my own practice, you'd be like, do I show this off? Is this the best of the... Like, I guess it's that first step of acceptance that you're like, I really should put myself out.
And it's pride, and it's motivating for people that have worked on it to show it. And I think awards are really important because it's like objectively someone saying, that's of interest, and you know how many compromises you have to make to get something done. If at the end it's worthy of an award, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good
What's your strategy? Do you have a strategy?
What, for winning an award?
Yeah,
it's later in the episode.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
I was going to do that.
I'm still like the logic of winning an award, and that's something that one of the things that someone said to me is like, be on a judging panel. You know, that's one way to just work out the system. And wouldn't you know it, someone in our podcast may have recently been on a judging panel.
I did that this week. Very conveniently.
I know he wouldn't stop banging on about it, would he, Ben? He was like, ask me about the thing.
2-hour-long podcast.
I know, he's like, just make sure you fit a good 20-minute segment in.
What do you want to know? Well, you think by judging it helps you work out how to win one?
All jokes aside, I'm genuinely interested. What's it like to be on a judging panel? I've never been on a judging panel before.
A bit odd, because it's like a new social situation. You're trying to ingratiate yourself with the other judges. You're trying to work out where you sit in terms of profile against them. Whether you don't want to just say what you think in case the other 3 or 4 of them say, "You great, we came to this different conclusion." So there's a sort of dance of offering soft judgments until someone kind of backs it up, and the way the oscillation sort of goes dramatically in one favour. But
do you go away and make your decision, or do you sort of talk as a group, as a collective?
Yeah, like jury duty or something.
Yeah, exactly. You
sit around like this and you put them on the screen and everyone says, oh, kind of, what did you think? And in this instance, it was quite straightforward, because work out what you're trying to reward. What is the message you're trying to send by the award? The winner has got to represent the kind of kernel of why they're having the award. So if it's about plastics, if it's about sustainability, it's got to be that. If it's about regeneration, it's got to be that. If it's about whatever it is, who best represents what the organisation would like to be the public face of their competition. And that was what we judged it on.
Were there kind of angles? Because I was reading some stuff this week about sustainability, and the fact that the Bloomberg building won most sustainable building ever, or whatever, and that seems to be the new hook for things. So did you see that? Oh, well, that skyscraper's really sustainable.
Well, ours was about refurbishment. So yeah, but ours was about. Well, my interpretation of it was, how do you make something actually fit for purpose so that this next generation of people can use it? A commercial building, people might not know this, it's only expected to last like 30 or 40 years before it's redeveloped. So you're not doing Whitehall or the Bank of England. It's just much higher turnover. So by redeveloping something, you might extend its life by 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. And that's incredibly sustainable. You're not cutting down all those trees, you're not carving that stone, you're not burning all that kind of embodied carbon in making it. So it was about refurbishment, and some of them were just sort of tarting it up. It was basically the same space, and they were putting kind of like nice things on the outside. And some of them were making these big changes internally that made it a much better space. That means no one would knock it down for another 20 years. So they were like ins and outs.
So you did, because one of the things that came up was I was looking through the previous winners of the Sterling Prize for research. I do
Who's
some.
Who's the most sort of out there of all the ones you were reading? The least likely.
Oh, I can't even remember the name of them, but there were some very bizarre, very small buildings. But I like, there was this idea of architecture and fashion. So I know it sounds stupid, but not the best looking building always wins. There's a story behind it. So sometimes, you know, when we went through parametrics, it was super popular, and they kind of rewarded the building that was most technically difficult to build. We went through a phase of, it didn't matter how it looked, it was just how bizarre was the shape, how complicated was it. Now we've gone away from that completely, and sustainability seems to have kicked. What's the most sustainable building? And for tall buildings, it's just a glass tower, you know, especially when you get, where were you?
Glass
towers.
No.
That's not sustainable. That's what I'm saying. So there's so David AJ's just done like a brick tall building, and like there's all these crazy kind of new typologies coming. But you were in Dubai, and are they still all massive tall glass towers?
Yeah, they've got. But you know, the Dubai is what it is, and it's weird that it's glass just because it's so dusty and all the dust sticks to it, and you think, how are they going to get all that off? You know. And if they just made it out of sandstone or ceramics or something that was a bit more, you know, hid the dirt a bit better. That's what strikes me as weird. Not just that it's a really hot country with loads of glass. But I'm not down on Dubai in the way that some are. It was a tall building conference from around the world, and it's in different places that have tall buildings every year. Yeah. And it was in Dubai, and it's Shenzhen next year, and Chicago and New York.
But in terms of awards, I still think it's this idea that architecture, what is the best looking. But you showed me a building today, which was that super skinny tower in New York.
Oh, it's good. But
who's it by?
Shop,
yeah. And look it up. It's the skinniest, tallest building.
Skinny tower by Shop on Central Park in New York, and it is incredible.
But again, is it beautiful? Because what I'm looking is the slenderness ratio, and I think that's absolutely stunning. So it's like, in 20 years, will you have slenderer buildings, and therefore I can't imagine.
It's so inefficient. I mean, it's pretty inefficient, isn't it, to do that? It's just a feat of engineering.
Is it inefficient? I think it's the most efficient. I mean, have you seen how small the site is? It's like the size. It's like tiny.
Well, efficient.
In terms of
not
floor
in terms
space
of material or energy or any of those kind of things. But it is beautiful. I didn't mean to take away from it, because it's incredible, and it's just otherworldly, and it's this kind of needle, and completely impractical and beautiful.
Yeah, but it's bonkers.
It's mad. It's kind of mesmerizing. You know how people, you know, when you went to see the Eiffel Tower when you were kind of kid, and it was just kind of insane, and you stood underneath it, and the lifts kind of go up at angles up the legs, and you can see up the middle, and it's that sense of wonder.
Yeah.
I was like staggered by it.
So I guess in terms of, I was thinking, if I was on a judging panel, I'm up for shock and awe and ideas and ambition. That's kind of what like the subtleties, which I'm sure some architects will be listening. Oh, they're ridiculous. Those buildings, they're so stupid. They don't. Then it's for nobody, that building. And I think we would definitely not be in that camp. I love this idea of just going for it, just making these bonkers buildings that aren't ridiculous, but they're the pinnacle of technology.
They're inspirational. But I'm also big on, here's a guy that makes a kind of garage in his house in France, and by the way, the flashing details perfect, and he's built himself, and you know, he's chosen the right stones to make the architrave sort of, you know, that's quite inspiring as well. It's like when things are done on a shoestring. That's quite powerful. I think that's the kind of grand designs awards thing. That thing of, it's not exclusive. You know, who can build a tower in New York? Nobody. Well, who can do quite a cool thing in their garden and open their kitchen up in a clever way? You know, anyone can really.
I think the nice thing is that the story there's a story to those projects we've just said. The one, this idea of this like small house built for a shoestring budget. You can imagine the photographs of the hands covered in clay and like there's the story is look what this guy did with his bare hands, and then the New York one is like look what the pinnacle of structural engineering. But there's always a story behind them, and I think to me Bloomberg kind of nailed the story, which was most sustainable building in the world. And then everyone was like, how can that possibly be the most sustainable building in the world?
There was one quote that they said, well, why was it so expensive? And someone said, because you had an architect that wanted to be a billionaire and a billionaire that wanted to be an architect. and that doesn't not going to chime with the general public as a sort of riches to riches story.
I did think it was bonkers. But I like that. And I think... I don't know how you're supposed to. I don't know how what's the award going to do next year, because they've kind of done sustainable awards now.
Well, is it like American politics? This kind of huge pendulum just swings. So next time it'll be Assemble doing. Well, Assemble won the Turner Prize, didn't they?
Yeah, Assemble, for people who don't know, Assemble are this amazing little studio. Not even little, they're like 20, 25 people. But to me, we had this conversation last week. To me, they're the kind of the perfect outcome of what you do when you finish uni. So while they were at uni, they did this amazing Cineroleum, which was like a petrol station turned into a cinema. And they did that they just went out when they were 20 or 23 or whatever and just got people to give them money and help and sponsor it. And I was like, what? And they made quite a bit of money from it. And then they did the brick, it was like a brick house under a motorway, dual carriageway, and it was a cinema, and it did these summer screenings. It was under this canal, and I've cycled there, and it's a horrible area, but when it was there, it never got vandalized, never got touched, even though it was left there at night. And they do these amazing projects, and one of them was like a housing scheme. I can't remember where it was now, but it won the Turner Prize, the first architect to ever win what is the most prestigious art award. So you get either Sterling Prize.
So maybe that's the message. It's like, don't win industry awards, win awards from another industry. I mean, that's like the ultimate. I mean, that'd be like us entering a beautiful drawing we'd done for a project in Ben's amazing graphics award and winning it. Yeah. You know, that would be cool.
That's really, I mean, I wonder if any architects won a graphics award or a graphic designer's done a house or a building that's been absolutely amazing. Because I'd imagine that culture clash of the two things meeting.
Well, how do you think people think about it? Will anyone get in touch and say what they think? I mean, is it a waste of time? Like, is it the middle tier we're kind of hinting? Because we're like, yeah, this is great. Awards are great. Is there a time when they're not great, or they're for their own sake, or they're rather sort of self-serving, and you just rotate certain practices that win them, and then if you'd won it, you kind of go quiet for 5 years and then you reapply? Is there a sort of...
I can jump in here. Like with graphics, there's an interesting thing with the award that I entered, D&AD, is I think it's great. And I didn't win it, so I'm not bragging about anything. But big brands come along to D&AD and, you know, pitch their brief, and then students take it on. And then, you know, the student might win an award and then get some accolades or whatever. And then that brand might steal that student's ideas. And I don't know whether that happens in architecture at all. Like it seems like it might have a crossover. It's not... But like taking elements from a building or a sketch or something like that that's totally unique to that student, for instance.
I can't imagine.
I don't know. Maybe not.
I can't imagine a situation where a client would
pitch a
ask you
idea.
would ask you to do some work in a concept competition and then just steal it without paying for you. I cannot imagine that happening in a commercial environment.
No.
Difficult.
Well, no, I'm glad that doesn't happen in architecture.
But what's cool is that so a few people listen to this podcast, and one of the people who wrote in said they like the term tribes that you use to describe why architecture is great and why you should go into architecture. And they said they love this idea that we're all in an industry together, not just architects, but graphic designers and visual artists and stuff. And I think that one of the big things, you know, because we've got an amazing graphics team in Make, and that wasn't always there when I started it. You know, you kind of did it on your own. And one of the things I like is that the storytelling we use through graphics is so much more powerful now. Like I would say that all of the presentations we do now are all based on these amazing graphic templates, and we're much more aware of how to present stuff. And it's, again, this idea of storytelling that I love, in that, you know, you look at their screens and what they're doing, and they're these really punchy, very clear to understand ideas, and you can spend a week doing a detail on a model and no one really gets what you're doing. and then a simple sketch would convey more than you did. And it's like, it's this weird idea that you have to try and get amazing at storytelling as well as detailing. So I like that culture clash, and I think that's what we're trying to go for.
Yeah, also you could do anything. So you need people to believe in a narrative or something they can follow. The whole Bloomberg thing, you could have built any number of designs on that building, but you lead the planners along with you, your client, the rest of your team. Yeah, and how you tell a story. I think generally architects, like globally, the good ones, it's become much more about telling that story and it's advertising. So full bleed images, like really punchy things, video, interactive stuff, like texture, feel like what it's going to be like. I hope we do that. I think we do that all right.
I think we do it really well. Yeah. I mean, I think, what do we say next week's episode was? I'll let you choose. What's the topic for next week's episode?
Money.
Well, one of the later ones, and people...
I don't know. We'll text it. Is it. I think it's money. I think that's a good one. I think architects have a funny attitude to money.
I think we're terrible. I think
terrible at what?
Just I think as an industry, not individually we work super hard to get the most competitive amount of money we can, but as an industry we are very quick to undercut the next person for a job. Really? I think. Okay. And I think I just think you look at any other like profession, like a lawyer or a doctor, it's quite a controlled pricing structure. Yeah. Whereas I don't know if is that because we love it.
Germany has that. I mean, there are ways around it, but there are set fees for competitions. Things like that.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I don't know. We'll get onto this. We'll have a proper.
I think it's a juicy one, and I think it'll get quite a lot of people because there's quite I mean, we'll touch on it lightly, but there's this feeling like when you've got an okay poker hand and you feel I'm already 50 in the hole, I'm gonna have to double down, and there's a slight sense of that with architecture. It's like. Oh, it's not okay. Well, we're not doing it for money, are we? But
But I think so. Now I can confirm that our email address is fully up and running.
Yeah.
Bill or Ben at architectureden.com.
It is.
Or on Twitter, and we're on Instagram. And if you want to talk, I do think money is going to be quite an interesting one.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
I think there'll be a few anonymous emails who would just like to say stuff.
Really?
I think.
What do we want? We want people to give us their views, ask us questions, share experiences they might have had, frustrations, excitements.
We were saying it's not just wage. We're not saying just wage. There's like give the full sphere of things that we should.
Well, it's about. Sure, it's about a wage, but it's about fee and how we bid and how much buildings cost. And we were saying a building that we worked on, there were maybe 15 of us on it, and now a building that size has fewer than half of that many people, but we're not making twice the amount of money because the software's moved on, but everyone realizes that we just have to do way more iterations for it. Actually, I think architecture in some ways is quite meritocratic. I think you can make great livings from it. I think how the management of procurement has a big is crazy. It's crazy. You're trying to buy and predict how much steel is going to cost in 6 years' time, and so it has this sort of geopolitical dimension. I think people have views on it.
So I think what people maybe don't know is we did a few test episodes and a few pilot episodes.
Did we?
Just some and
one.
Yeah, we did 2 test ones.
Okay.
Yeah, which were great. They were more boozy, I think we can both agree. But what was funny is I think when we did the last one, I know that the most of the comments we've got back are they really enjoy us talking about actual technical things, not just some of our early ones are a bit more boozy and bantery. I think. And I do think that, for example, you just touched on so many different things. You touched on fees. You touched about the technology that we use, like Revit, how that's completely shrunken the teams we use, how much more efficient we are, how we interact with graphics. I mean, there's so many things that we're going to lead on to other podcasts. So in the spirit of trying to make things slightly more serious, we did get one comment from someone who I will remain nameless.
I know why you're looking at me. It wasn't me.
Yeah, it was your friend. Wasn't it? He said lots of nice stuff, didn't he? He said lots of nice stuff.
Yeah. It was skip over that. What was the?
He said maybe higher or lower was a bit random.
That's the point of higher or lower.
Yeah.
But you got to have your critics, right?
Yeah. So this is for him.
Was it Ollie Wainwright?
Yeah. He said,
my mate.
Nothing would make me happier than if we got a tweet and screw you
Ollie,
guys.
look, the hashtag, come on, tweet in.
Yeah. So I think
Come in. Honestly, I'd love to
This is
have
an
it.
open call.
we would have an absolutely great time with Ollie. And on the other extreme, let's get Patrick Schumacher in here as well. Let's just who knows? Maybe this will be the most popular podcast this week.
Well, certainly if
About
you put it
architecture.
to Grindr. or whatever.
Okay, so I'm going to be serious now because I'm going to do a serious higher or lower. Don't look at the answers.
Okay, I'm not.
Look into my eyes. Look into my blue eyes with your piercing blue eyes. Let me just test. Okay, good and excellent.
Okay.
This is an important one. This is a serious one. No dilly-dallying, no silliness. We don't want to upset Ben's friend. What was his name? I don't want to name him. But
No
I
names.
don't want to name him, but he knows who
Anonymous.
he is. We haven't had that many
Well, let's
listeners.
make it relevant then.
Okay, so Sterling Prize winners list.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah. So Zaha's and Wilkinson Air, they are up there as the best winners of the Sterling Prize.
What do you mean best winners?
As in most amount of wins.
Oh, yeah.
They're combined with how many Sterling Prizes?
What, together?
Yes. No, so each. How many have they won each?
2.
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. We've just touched on Foster's and the Bloomberg building.
Yeah.
How many times have Foster's won the Sterling Prize? Weight higher or lower than 2?
It's the same as 2.
I heard you say it earlier and I got very excited. It's actually 3 because you didn't get the Imperial War Museum. Oh. Okay.
Did that win the Sterling Prize?
Oh, yeah. Back in the day. 1998 or
I thought it was
1999.
2. It's just been office buildings.
Oh, God, you really dropped your game there. Okay, so to the nearest 100, so higher, lower than 3, nearest 100, how many times bigger is the budget of the very first Sterling Prize winner to the current Sterling Prize winner?
How many times?
How many 100 times was the budget?
A higher.
Higher.
Because the first one was Hodder. It was Stephen Hodder.
Hey, yeah, it was. It was a centenary building at the University of Salford.
Yeah.
I've written that down. 3.2 million.
Yeah.
The Bloomberg building was 1.1 billion, which is 343 times more budget. So you were correct. So 343 is the number you're now working on.
343. Okay.
Our YouTube video, New Sensation. Actually, the only way you can be listening to this is on YouTube. How many more views has it had? Higher or lower than 343? Bearing in mind, it's been on. How long has it been on for?
What?
The YouTube video.
Oh, it's been up for 24 hours, maybe?
24 hours.
I would say lower than 343.
You were
I
right.
was sad to win that
Yeah, I know. I thought your optimism would be higher. So what are we at currently? I would say.
Well, about 40 views. Yeah.
one. And you haven't been that busy.
I know. I've only done it 10, 15 times or whatever.
Getting F5.
Mum, dad, obviously. Okay, so we're gonna go for higher.
We're still on 343. Yeah.
No, we're now on 41.
Okay.
Soon.
Okay, so higher or lower than 41? How many likes has the photo of you on Instagram, on our Instagram page, architecture.ben.com, higher or lower than 43?
I would say lower than 43.
You were correct. There's a little final question, Bill.
Oh, how many are we down to now? How many was that?
We're now on 9. So it's
9?
Yeah, that's not bad though.
That's great.
So-
I'm not even on Instagram. That's fantastic.
Higher or lower? How many likes has my photo got? Not that we're not the competition.
Higher.
Hey! But that's purely for everyone's knowledge to know we have an Instagram page and a YouTube page. That wasn't purely for my own narcissistic joy.
How many?
Don't get angry, Bill. You're gripping the table.
How many did you have? Oh,
He's got 13 right now.
Ooh-wee.
Well, you have 4 more family members.
Easily
than me.
9, Bill. Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
Okay, not that this is a
This
Bill
is
and
no
Ben
getting
competition.
quiet.
Yeah. Okay. Into the stratosphere we go with our Instagram feed, and it's on Acast as
That's
well.
a good game because that was relevant to the theme. So even Ben's particular friend.
Everyone's in, and, and everyone knows where we are and how we distribute our information, and we can have this game, and maybe I'll win more. I don't know. I don't know. So we're also on Instagram because you think. I know this is an interesting conversation. You think that more people want to listen to it on a podcast, which I would have agreed with.
What, over YouTube?
Yeah. So a podcast or YouTube. How are people going to listen to this show?
Yeah.
Because I actually found that sending it on YouTube was so easy for like my mum or dad or friends to listen to, because they were like, oh, just YouTube, fine. Because you can do it on anything, whereas a podcast you have to download it, and like I feel like it's. But I also think the podcast will be more popular, even though I've just gone against.
I think a podcast, because you download it, it sticks on your phone, whereas you're not going to like a YouTube. There's nothing to see here. Why would you watch this?
Yeah. Okay. So interesting. I think more people will go, oh God, what have Bill and Ben done? And they've gone on YouTube for 5 minutes. Whereas I think the podcast, I have a much higher, because we have all these amazing statistic tools now. It's so good. So for nerdy podcast people listening, iTunes have opened up the analytics. So now
you can see that people all turn off after 30
yeah.
seconds of hearing.
Yeah. There's a drop of one person when we hit higher or lower.
Their name and address comes straight through. Like,
oh, what's up? What's going on here? And so you can see it drop off or stay to the end. So that's good.
So can we see that on our views already? Like whether you just clicked it 33 times or something?
Yeah, and you can see which country someone clicked it from and downloaded.
That's exciting.
That is really
I like
good.
that.
Because you still think that you think Reykjavik, Yale, these are the places you thought people would download them. Aspirationally last week. New Zealand.
Yeah. Or just places I want to go on holiday. Who do people want on? That's what I want to know.
Oh, what guests?
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Who would people really like to hear from, or be? We could ask people direct questions and say,
because you met a couple of. No,
nothing is safe. I met a couple of heroes of mine. Well, not heroes, but famous architects, and I was like, they're just people. Why can't you ask them onto shows to do things like that?
I think it would be great to have a couple of people on, higher or lower. Oh.
Who would you most like to do a ridiculous higher or lower with?
Someone super serious. I think like the more serious, the more this would be funny. Where there's a guy who only ever goes on like super high end podcasts and then comes on ours and is made to be quiet for the first 20 minutes and then has to do higher or lower.
Who is the most serious?
Imagine,
who's the most serious architect in the world?
Well, I know.
Norman Foster is pretty serious.
Imagine getting Norman Foster and he has to play higher or low on our Instagram likes. There's a really funny thing where they got George Clooney on South Park and he only did the woof of a dog. That would be so good.
I can't even imagine. He'd be so appalled, the stories I hear about him. But then people like, the rest of them are really nice. Like Rich Rogers, I bet he's I hear he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
Come here, have a glass of wine.
That would be brilliant. We would just be sat there going, "Go on, Richard. Karen,
tell us
what about that? What about that
Get
amazing
your wife
building?
to bring some lovely food."
Yeah, I would love, because I reckon the more people write in, the more people would want to come on it. I think would be great.
Okay. Okay.
Because I've got so I mentioned Revit Island Disc last week, and we've got quite a few that have written in, and we're going to link them to it. We're going to get a website up and running, and we've got this Spotify account. So this podcast goes out on Acast, which is also out on Spotify and iTunes, which is great. So it goes out on all three at the same time. And we've got directors of structure engineers, directors of visualization companies. We've got these cool people who are, I mean, I don't want to put words on them, but they're desperate to come on the show. They would absolutely desperate. The speed at which I got these things back, they would absolutely love to come on.
Yeah,
okay. To rip into a couple of architects. They'd like nothing.
Rip into us. I want to rip into them.
Imagine if we got a structural engineer on. He would absolutely love to come on.
Do you think a good one?
Yeah, he's really.
Are they?
He's not a dry one. He's great.
Okay.
He doesn't wear check shirts.
Who is it?
He's a cool guy.
Who is it?
Just a friend. He's a director. He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy?
Yeah, we went on MIPIN together. Something we'll talk about later, I'm sure.
Okay.
I saw things. That's all I'm going to say. We shared a room together.
But let's do that. That would be great. And I think getting some guests on would be... We should aim high.
I have always been in awe of your ambition, Bill, and I'm in.
Okay. I'm in.
Aim high. And we know people. I sound like a really crap hitman then. I know people.
No, but you said it. When you go and have dinner with people and you say... I'm an architect, I'm working on this. You can sort of see their eyes glaze over a bit. And then you say, I'm doing this podcast. And people are electrified. So I think we've got a good chance. Okay. But if there was an overwhelming response to either our email or our Twitter feed about who they want to see, maybe Ollie Wainwright wants to come on, and
I think that'd be great.
because I want to hear his view on Bloomberg.
Yeah, because he's got a strong view.
Because I like Debenhams as well. So
Yeah.
is it a compliment? I mean, I remember my mum is from Darlington, and she once said, I was like, yeah, there's a Phoenix here. I've never. She said, Bill, Phoenix is the Harrods of the North. And every time now I see Phoenix, she's like, yeah, I got my wedding dress there. And now when I go past Phoenix, people are like, I'm going to get my sandwich from Phoenix. I'm like, ooh.
Someone's doing well for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Lucky Thursdays.
Have you ever heard something called Russell and Dorrells? It's like a really budget, like a high street store. My grandma calls it Russell and I can't even Russell and Durrell or something. Yeah. That's really ridiculous. It's not Juan Louis for John Lewis. Okay, so as we're coming into the landing. It's time to put your seatbelts on, and we're coming into land on our podcast journey. But I've come up with a few how I think you can win an award. Yeah, so you're on the judging panel.
As an award winner, you're in a...
I did win an award. I won an Arup Sustainability Award for a tall building I designed in 5th year. True story. I've managed to get both my awards in there. Ben, have you won any awards?
I haven't won any architecture awards, no.
But you have won a pretty cool
I might have won, yeah.
It's no big deal.
I don't need to mention it.
Yeah.
Unlike some people.
I mention it as much as humanly possible. Okay, so how I would win an award. Okay, these are serious. I think first of all, it's pretty obvious. Just design better buildings than everyone else. I don't know why most people haven't really clicked onto that, because it's so obvious. Yeah. And I think it's very simple when you think of it like that.
Do the best buildings. Yeah. Now you say it, it seems
just
easy.
get £1 billion from a client. Instant win.
Yeah.
Because the most expensive building always must win. Controversial.
That's not how it
Isn't
works.
it?
But designing better buildings, doing more with less. Wouldn't that be good advice?
Is that sounds like a real buzzword? Do more with less. What does that mean?
Well, don't you have a client that has a similar?
Yeah. As I said, we're not going to skirt too close to work because we might get fired.
But I think doing more with less is a really strong, especially for a competition where people know you're on limited resources, and it's about being inventive, and they're the kind of people you want to actually build your buildings.
Okay. So, I don't fully understand. Say that again. So what you're saying?
So I think if you kind of limit your palette, it's a bit like, I don't know, Van Gogh painting sunflowers again and again and again. It's not that you can...
That's the posh alarm.
It's more limit your palette a bit. So say it's going to be this size, it's going to be this material, and find more and more innovative and creative ways of using it or doing it. And that kind of constraint, it creates sort of ingenuity, rather than saying, oh, I'm going to have the best site, and I'm going to sandstone, and I'm going to do this and this and this. And because it's easy, like fantasy. Whereas if you're coming up with an idea, you've got to think, well, what are the actual constraints?
So so part of your sustainability, that type of, I guess it's not a fad, but it's a new thing that people are really keen to sustainability, and it sells buildings, and you're saying reusability is one of the do more with less. That is another way.
Yeah, I'm not saying just competition, because that is everything from like a barn to a huge office building to a Amazon warehouse. It's just like do more with less. What are the like? What's the least you can do it with in the coolest way? I guess.
Okay. So my next one is in your renders, put drones in the sky. I think that is an easy win for me, because
carrying cappuccinos ideally.
To me, nothing says future.
Yeah.
Thinking beyond where we are now in drones.
Drones.
Yeah, would you agree?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I've put grease up the judging panel. Nothing says winner like outright bribery, iPads, gold, money, that type of thing.
Yeah, I know nepotism. I think sort of
find out who they are.
Yeah.
Twitter. Yeah, I think that's one of the easiest ways
Flattery,
to do it.
Yeah.
Don't rely on the architecture.
No.
Just really go straight to the source.
That's true. That's true. And start early. Years before, you may or may not need this favour to be called in.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I like that long-term strategy.
Long-term thinking.
Don't grease up the judges short-term. Think long-term.
Because also your peer group at university will ultimately become the judges on competition that you enter.
Nice. I like it. Okay. Create your own award. I'm thinking you're working on a house in the Midlands House Award.
I like this. You could do Ben's idea. Create an award. get loads of really good ideas, and then just do the one.
That
you
wasn't
fancy.
advice. That was what already happened. I was advising against that.
No, I love that's how Bill.
But I love that's how you've taken it on board.
You've come on to that. We should start. Whatever competition we're going for, a student competition based on that
We
competition.
should do a student competition and then say the winner gets £1,000.
Yeah.
We're like, brilliant. We're like, I'd have to pay like £5,000 just to come to meet me for a sketching the meeting time. £1,000.
And then like 50 ideas.
And a bottle of aftershock.
And a straw, you crazy kids.
That's it. Yeah, my laptop's decided to shut down. So
It's no background. Oh, look how sad that is. All our YouTube videos. Right, turn off. Okay, my last one, I think this is the most important. If you don't win the award, throw a tantrum. Because they'll respect you more. Because you love the award.
Because you love the award.
Exactly.
Well, rather than that.
Yeah, just so happy. So I think that to me is how.
Yeah.
If you're looking for serious advice, that is how you win
It
an
is
award,
good. As from an award winner.
Yeah. But
Well, Ben, that's good. I've learned a lot.
Okay.
I've learned a lot.
I did actually email some people and ask, how should you treat awards? What's the best advice they had for awards? So one of them, we've touched on a lot, is understand the story of your building. If it's difficult to explain to someone in an elevator pitch, it's going to be difficult for a judging panel to talk about it because they get lost. I mean, they don't understand the simple story. So I think, I'm not saying you should dumb down your idea, but understand the narrative.
Is this the serious side?
This is the serious one. We're now in serious zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
But is that...
Yeah, that's true. And it's easily communicable. Yeah.
Because, we've said the easiest ones are the Foster's ones just because they're big, they're bombastic in that way. It's like, this is the biggest, the most sustainable, whatever. But some of the other awards have been beautiful stories and they've been really lovely and it's very easy to kind of get into the story.
Just like a fresh look at it. I think that's good. Who wrote that? That doesn't sound like you.
Well, I do my research. Another one, which was get on the judging panel so you can understand how the system works. And I think you, as someone who's, I didn't write this is before I knew you were going. But has it changed how you would view going into an award? Does it?
Do you know what? It's funny. We went to there's a brilliant charity that was looking for that got all these submissions for a homeless a kind of halfway house for homeless people. Brilliant charity sponsored by a client, and I went and I looked at all of these brilliant boards, and they're A3, and it was a double A3 submission. And actually, I went with a couple of other architects, and we said let's have a little side bet on who's going to win. And we picked who we each thought was going to win. And miraculously, they were first, second, and third. And there were 50 entries on the wall. And there were loads of really good ones, but we picked these ones. So there must be something that doesn't just appeal to me. There's something that is kind of universally you've been able to communicate an idea successfully. And so I don't think they're necessarily as sort of subjective as you might think. I think actually there are natural winners, which should give you faith in them, I guess, rather than
but that's what I mean. So you, because I know with the student ones that I saw, you would see them and you'd be blown away. Them, it's so inspirational to see these amazing designs, and it really triggers the.
And some of those are about technical ability. You think, how can someone that's only been doing this for a couple of years create something that's so beautiful? But then when you've got professionals doing it, it's not about technical skill. It's about someone who's the idea is reflected in the graphic, is reflected in the way the whole thing's approached, and it all kind of relates, and it just comes across as like a great advert. I mean, you should go to an ad agency, frankly. You should go to an ad agency, say, these are the ideas.
Yeah.
And they will just say, you're coming at this on the wrong side. Who's your user or whatever? I mean, that's what's so clever about ad agencies is the creators are, I think, genius. I think they should come and be architects. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. The competition phase should be graphic designers and ad agency. We get ad agency in for this podcast.
Imagine, you wanted to win a competition. You just get in. You go to who are the big ones now? Versace, are they still big?
Yeah.
So,
That's such a good idea. But
so if you're at uni, go over to the guys they're all art school, aren't they?
Yeah.
Advertisers, yeah.
But so I think I'd love the idea of getting other industries to talk about architecture, because I think we're kind of quite an insular. We talk to other people, but actually to get like a bit of advice like that would be brilliant.
Really good.
Okay, so I don't know if you agree with this one, but another one was if you don't win, and you just email the judging panel and ask what they thought. What do they think about your project? And I don't know if that's something you would agree with, but I do think that it's a good way of building a relationship with the judges. You're serious about it. What do you want to know? Not that you're going to cater your design for next year, but there might be something genuinely quite obvious, or they didn't buy into whatever, and just to get some feedback.
I think that's really good. And also, why are you trying to win an award?
Yeah,
it's probably to like raise your profile, get more work. Well, actually, if that's what you're trying to do, talk to the organisation that's running it, and I think that's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
Wow, I always like that you seem slightly blown away by my serious topics at the end.
That's good. That's a solid advice.
All right. Well, that's wrapped up the podcast. But I'm going to write down on here. There's a little secret word that Mr. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
He's making it up now.
Yeah. No. We talked about this before.
Oh, okay.
What to see?
Hang on. All right. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
To see if people have.
Yeah. So we've had a few people who said, "Yeah, listen to the end." We're like, "Have you? Have you listened to the end?" So we're gonna get Ben to read out a word, secret word.
Hashtag Operation Foxhole.
Yes. Exactly.
Foxhole.
Why? What's wrong with that? It's great.
It's
okay, don't read too much into it.
Okay.
It's a textbook line. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, wouldn't it be funny if that was the most popular thing on our Twitter page?
Oh, you're the foxhole guy.
But it'll change each week. But this week's one is.
So hashtag if you say hashtag foxhole.
If you've listened to the end and you've enjoyed it, probably if you enjoyed it, not negative Operation Foxhole.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should
He's talking about his foxhole again.
Yeah, but so this is for people who say they've listened to the end, but now we know. Next week's one is about
Money.
So if you want to email in, we're at Bill or Ben at Architecture Den. We're also on Twitter at Architecture Den, obviously, and then on Instagram we're architecture.den. So that's been not quite there. It still niggles, doesn't it? I found out the guy hasn't been using Instagram since 2015. So I found out you can also kick him off his own Instagram account, which feels slightly mean, doesn't it?
Let's wait and see.
Okay, I can watch his space. But thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you.